The situation for the German Empire at home in Europe remains critical. While the war against the British is going well so far, it looks like the Russian Empire has seen a chance and is about to join the effort against us, which means that we have to hastily remove some of the ships from the North Sea fleet and move them over to the Baltics. To that effect, 2 out of the 3 currently combat-effective Derfflinger-class battlecruisers are relocating towards Pillau to reinforce the fleet there, which is currently consisting of Sachsen, as well as 4 destroyers and 1 mine-laying submarine. The Russians do have 3 battleships, 4 heavy cruisers, 4 light cruisers, and 12 destroyers in the area. This appears to be the whole of their Baltic fleet. So unless they are moving forces over from the Black Sea or from their East Asian squadrons, which is going to take a while, this is what we're going to have to contend with. To that effect, we're furiously building new heavy cruisers as well to fill the gap between the destroyers and the battle cruisers or battleships. The Scharnhorst, lead ship of her class, is about to be commissioned and will join the fleet in Pillau as well. We have not spotted any British activity in the Yellow Sea, and so far the uncertain truth between us and the Japanese appears to be holding. The fleet that we have stationed in Tsingtao consists of the König, which is a refitted Nassau-class battleship, and a couple of destroyers and submarines. They are not having a sufficient striking force to defend against a concentrated Japanese assault. Fortunately for us, the British have seen reason, and our diplomatic efforts have been sufficient to declare this as a minor confrontation rather than an all-out war, and they do agree on a peace treaty. To that effect, we can have the essential port of Gibraltar, which has triggered all of this, returned to our area of influence, and we can also get some new colonies and islands around the area. So we might be taking the Maldives. Would be a nice port for us between here and our East Asian possessions. That would be potentially interesting, or we could. We're not having any interest in the Americas at this point, so the Falklands are not quite interesting. A lot of these would be, I think, Pacific possessions. I think we'll take the Maldives, and we will see if they agree to this peace treaty. And it looks like the peace has been finalized. Gibraltar and the Maldives have been handed over to the control of the German Empire, giving us both control over the entrance to the Mediterranean and giving us a foothold in the Indian Ocean to have a fueling stop between our homelands in the North Sea and the East Asian possessions. This is a major humiliation for the British, given that the whole affair around Gibraltar has triggered this conflict in the first place. And it wasn't a month too soon, because a prominent Russian politician has been assassinated, and their government uses that internal unrest as a pretext to start hostilities with us. We are now, given that we have signed a deal with the British, ready for war and ready to bring the whole force of the German fleet to bear in the Baltics. The Russian Imperial fleet in the Baltics has been sighted leaving the port of Kronstadt and is on their way towards the Baltic Sea, consisting of 3 battleships, 4 light cruisers, and 12 destroyers. We currently only have We have 3 Derfflinger class battle cruisers and a couple of destroyers ready in the port of Pillau, but we are moving the 3 Kaiser Wilhelm II class battleships towards Danzig to reinforce this force. For now, we will remain in port, lay minefields, and wait for developments. But if possible, we will try to intercept this Russian fleet once we have the battleships in the area of operations, and hopefully deal a crushing blow to them. Meanwhile, the Russian Empire has declared war on Austro-Hungary and is moving troops from Poland towards Bohemia. They are outnumbering the Austro-Hungarians 2-1, so we will try to control the Baltic and possibly deal some trouble to their trade routes as well. The ever dishonorable British, seeing that Germany is now at war with the Russian Empire, has stabbed us in the back and immediately fallen back on the promised peace treaty. The paper the British signed isn't worth the ink that it's written on it, and they have declared war on us once again. Meanwhile, the Russian offensive from eastern Poland into Bohemia has been failing catastrophically. The Russians have been beaten back with heavy losses, and Germany has launched a counter-offensive from western Poland and from Prussia into the province of eastern Poland. Together, these two offensives should be able to deal a blow to the Russian forces on the ground after their defeat against the Austro-Hungarians. The Russian fleet, after their sortie into the Baltic, seems to be wanting to return to Kronstadt. We will try to move the Kaiser Wilhelm the second-class battleships to intercept, and we will see if we can catch them on their way back. We will also sortie the battle cruisers and see if we can inflict some damage on them. So we'll probably send the Kaiser Wilhelm, the Scharnhorst, the Wettin. We have two Scharnhorsts now, which is a little confusing, and the destroyers out. And at the same time, we will send we'll see if we can intercept them. I'm not sure which course they're taking. No, they're going through the south. So we'll see if we can intercept them off the islands here. So we will send. Actually, the Sachsen is still under repair. This is 3 battleships, 4 light cruisers, 12 destroyers. Probably don't want to send the 2 battle cruisers on their own out. I'm going to leave them here just in case they decide to turn around and attack the ports, so they can defend around Danzig and Pillau while we're moving the battleships to potentially intercept. And we have to do something about the British. Unfortunately, we now only have the Braunschweig, which is a Nassau class, and we can, however, send the submarines, which we have just sent to Kiel, I believe. So U18 needs to refuel. And that means we have more ocean-going submarines under construction, but we will need to let the submarines refuel, and then they will return to their areas in the North Sea. No further offensives in Africa have been launched by the British, and while the tensions with Japan are running high, we're not going to be doing anything around the Yellow Sea at this point because we simply don't have the forces to maintain all these theaters. For now, we'll continue building heavy cruisers, and we will try to hold the British at bay while we are dealing a blow to the Russian forces in the Baltic Sea. A small group of Russian forces has snuck in the North Sea. They must have avoided our picket line, and they are trying to assault our coastline, but they have brought 2 heavy cruisers, a light cruiser, and a destroyer. The Derfflinger, who's currently in the North Sea, is going to be intercepting them on February 1913, and will try to deal a decisive blow to this little force and see if she can take them out. Weather conditions are ideal, the sky is clear, and Derfflinger is ready for battle. Alright, looks like we have sighted the enemy, so straighten the ship out and let's see what we've got there. It's probably not the destroyer, if I can actually... Come on. Still extremely far away. What do we have here? Okay, this looks like the heavy cruiser. And these are probably the two heavy cruisers. So there's still a light cruiser and a destroyer out there. The destroyer is probably on an intercept course. And we just haven't spotted it yet. But for now, we'll be steaming at 27 knots. And we'll see. We don't know what these are yet. But I think at least the destroyer or the light cruiser, there was a smoke screen just now. Yeah, there's a smoke screen over there. So we do obviously have to be careful about torpedoes. But I don't know how fast these heavy cruisers are. I'm certainly going to try and close the range, because right now our accuracy with the 305s is not too great. So it's a very, very low chance that we'll actually be hitting these ships. I don't know if they're going to disengage, but we will try to close the range and see if we can catch these. These look like relatively old heavy cruisers with 2 main turrets and a bunch of casement secondaries. We just have to be careful with the destroyer that we're not running into any torpedoes. It looks like the enemy group is actually planning to give battle. They are closing in, and so we can adjust our course slightly. I was actually expecting them to run away and get the rest of our guns to bear. But yeah, the solution is still very low, and we need to turn just ever so slightly to get the rest of our guns on target. Now we're aimed, and it's starting to get better. We haven't identified these ships yet, but yeah, they're definitely closing in for battle. So I am not complaining here. Maybe we can leave the destroyer. Out at the behind us and take care of these heavy cruisers first, if possible. Oh, there's some incoming fire. It's just torpedoes that I'm concerned about, so that's where we need to be a bit careful. Okay, third ship has been spotted. That is the light cruiser. So the destroyer is definitely up. There comes the destroyer. So let's focus the guns on the destroyer while we are adjusting our course hard left. Let's get rid of the destroyer first, and then we can blow the heavy cruisers out of the water at close range. I just want to make sure that we're not running into any torpedoes. And these were some good hits on that destroyer. While we're identifying, she is on fire, and I'm not sure if we are in torpedo range, but the cruisers potentially have torpedoes as well. There come the torpedoes. I think that's let's make sure that we get rid of the destroyer before some of the secondaries are opening up on the heavy cruiser now. In fact, if the destroyer has launched, yeah, there come some more torpedoes. So hard left, and see that we actually now keep her straight. And now turn hard left. Okay. That should allow us to thread the needle here with the torpedoes. Okay, that should be the destroyer threat mostly mitigated for now until she reloads. So retarget fire onto the heavy cruiser. These things can have torpedoes as well. So we should have a relatively decent chance of hitting these things. We're taking a couple of partial penetrations. 305s impacting on the deck, on the aft deck for partial penetrations on the heavy cruisers. Okay, we've got some data now on these things, so let's actually see what they're looking like. They are reasonably well. The armor is okay, but it's not great. Where do they use the 200? They have got very heavily armored casemates, 180mm main guns. No, it says 150mm. These would actually be light cruisers classified as. They do have torpedoes, but I think we can. How fast is the destroyer? Destroyer does 35 knots, so that thing can catch us, but he needs to reload his torpedoes first. So he's not really a threat. We can probably close in a little bit on the heavy cruisers to get a slightly better solution. But yeah, these should not pose a massive threat unless they get their torpedoes away, in which case we are going to need to do something about them. But for now, we might be able to just target the secondaries onto the destroyer and focus the heavy cruiser with the main guns. That might be a decent way to go about it. And then we'll see if we can impact some pain onto this. And yeah, I think that is probably what I'm talking about. They are scoring a couple of partial penetrations, but they're now flooding is on fire, and the next salvo hopefully is going to do a number on this thing. Yeah, looks like we're bracketing still. Okay, the destroyer is... the destroyer does not have the torpedoes reloaded just yet. The heavy cruiser seems to have gotten his torpedoes away, so we may actually have to turn in here. And we'll drop speed to 24 knots. So I haven't seen the torpedoes just yet. Unfortunately, this is going to throw our aim off, but we do need to evade the torpedoes. I don't think she can actually fire ahead like that. Let's see. Drop some speed, get into the turn, and then we'll accelerate again, just to make sure that we can close the range even further and that we're not running into these torpedoes. I think they both... No, the first one's fired the torpedoes. Oh no, I think they... Either they fired them or we blew them up. I'm not sure. Let's go back to all ahead flank, straighten out the course, and keep that heavy cruiser under fire. The Edgar, while the secondaries are trying to do some damage on that destroyer, which is working on getting the torpedoes reloaded, so at some point we're going to have to deal with that thing. But for now, I think the secondaries are not actually capable of hitting that destroyer particularly well just yet, unless he would come to much closer ranges. So maybe we'll just concentrate our fire into the heavy cruiser for now. Speed back up to all ahead flank and see that we can get... this one hasn't fired torpedoes, this one has, or we have blown up the torpedo tubes. Oh yeah, we have actually, there's a torpedo detonation. Yes, we have blown up his torpedo tubes, so I think we're all good. That means we could actually sort of cross the T on that thing and get close enough that we can... I don't think the 150s can overmuch can seriously harm us. It's more about the torpedoes really and the and setting fires. So how fast are these things? 25 knots. But yeah, at this range, I think they're not going to be in a good shape for very long. Just don't want any collisions, but that should hopefully make an end to this ship relatively quickly. And then we do have that one to contend with. So we need to turn out in case they go in for a torpedo run. I think that's close enough. We're a battle cruiser, so we should be okay to give full broadside to this 150mm guns and unload everything we have into that over penetrations, fire and flooding. The Edgar is starting to flood on the bows, but we haven't really... Oh, that's better. Penetrating hits, floodings, over penetrations. Okay, she is starting to take on some water. Straighten her out and see if we can finish them up at point blank range. Then we can take on the other one, which has not launched torpedoes, but we are obviously at a very, very dangerous range here. We are a little bit faster with 27 knots, so I think we can overtake them and keep the torpedo angle, keep them out of torpedo angles. And if they turn, if the Theseus turns, then we're going to do something about it. How's the destroyer? Destroyer is almost reloaded on torpedoes, but let's try to finish off the Edgar first. We have a couple of fires burning, but nothing major or nothing dramatic at this stage. Theseus is still not fired. She might have bow torpedoes, but she would. I think she might be turning for a torpedo attack. So let's turn slightly away and start angling away to dodge that, while unloading still at the Edgar, who is now starting to massively flood. And I think that ship is not really going to go anywhere. And flooding is increasing. A couple more salvos. She is turning to disengage, I think, at this stage. So a couple more salvos, and then we can switch fire to the Theseus and see if we can finish that thing off. She has lost steering control. The flooding is spreading throughout the ship. And I think that thing is at least combat ineffective. So I am already going to switch fire to the Theseus. And make sure that, because that thing is the bigger threat right now. The destroyer is too far behind, even though it has torpedoes reloaded. It is too far behind at this stage to do much. I want to see if we can blow up the torpedo tubes on the Theseus. And make sure that that thing is not going to cause us any trouble. The Edgar has lost steering control, is sailing in circles. There is also the Kazarski coming in, a light cruiser. So we might have to deal with that thing at some point as well. Let's turn slightly and just make sure that we keep all guns on target, while at the same time getting them into a stern chase and making sure they can't get their torpedoes away. Nice, a little over penetration on the aft belt, and flooding immediately in the engine compartment. Yeah, they have launched torpedoes. Slow down, hard left to dodge the incoming torpedoes. Actually, I think, where are these torpedoes going? She's launched 2 fish. I think that one's going completely away, and this one should be no problem. Actually, I think we can stop the turn. Yeah, that's and get back to 25 knots. That torpedo is not gonna hit, is it? I think we're good. We will turn left a little bit more, and once the torpedo threat has passed, I think we are good to go here. Yep, I think we've dodged that one. Then we can actually make another turn. How is she on torpedoes? She still has torpedoes probably in the bow or stern on the other side. So back to all ahead flank. Where's that destroyer? Pesky little thing. He's behind us now. Edgar is still flooding. So unfortunately we have to maneuver relatively radically to avoid these torpedoes. But the Theseus is now bow in, but which means we are ricocheting some things. But let's try to turn here and get a slightly different angle. And I am once again going to start getting the secondaries to target the destroyer and just target the Theseus with the main guns. She might be trying to get torpedoes away on the other side. Is already reloading the torpedoes. So these heavy cruisers with their torpedo loadout are definitely an annoyance. Why are we firing HE with the mains? Switch into AP, please. Okay. Come on, a nice hit on the Theseus would be nice, but yeah, we've been maneuvering a lot, so our solutions are somewhat thrown off. We'll drop speed to 22 knots for now, to make sure that these guys aren't actually... Are they disengaging? It almost looks like they're disengaging. Yeah, they're actually disengaging. Okay, it's back to full speed, hard turn, and give chase. Make sure that we can finish them off if possible. We've also got the light cruiser. Is the light cruiser still coming in? Oh, they might actually almost be colliding. Okay. Focus the main guns on the light. Change target light cruiser first, because this one seems to be the one engaging. Destroyer is reloaded on torpedoes, which is unfortunate. We're running a little low on HE shells, so maybe we'll switch to the destroyer, try to get that out of the way. Light cruiser is coming in, and the destroyer as well. So straighten out the course and try to finish off the destroyer. It's not the greatest chance to hit that small target. We'll need to be a little bit closer, but we'll see. And he has launched his torpedoes. Okay, destroyer has launched the torpedoes. Yeah, drop speed and hard turn, and see if we can avoid these torpedoes. Let's get her to see if we can thread the needle here between those torpedoes, and that is a pretty good drop actually. And we're slowing down. Okay, and speed up again, full ahead to dodge the second one, and there we go. It hit us, but it was a dud torpedo. Okay, whew. Concentrate fire again at the light cruiser. Destroyer is reloading torpedoes once more, but it's going to take him a while. So we need to start building up speed again, and to make sure that we're dodging torpedoes. Light cruiser has launched torpedoes as well. There they come, yeah. Hard turn. How many torpedoes are there incoming? Actually, I think we're actually good on course, to be fair. That torpedo is going in a completely different direction. So stay the course. Whew. And focus everything on the Kazarsky. And use AP on the mains, please. Oof. We have taken a little bit of damage from the incessant small arms fire that we've been subjected to. It looks like that thing should be relatively easy to get out of the way. So now that we're starting to build up some speed again, I think we can. Oh, he's lost his conning tower. A couple more good hits should probably make an end to that thing. Yep, that looks pretty nice. Starting to flood, and the destroyer is laying smoke, but he's nowhere near reloading the torpedoes, so we're good to go for now. So just pass by. This thing's got no torpedoes. This thing has torpedoes, but I think the Kazarsky is about done for. There's not an awful lot that this light cruiser is going to still have to work with here. Okay. Threat over here. What is this? Oh, these are just the torpedoes. Okay. So we've got them on the run now. So I'm gonna speed that up a little bit. And we're just finishing them off at this point. We'll sink the Kazarsky. Where's the destroyer? Oh, the destroyer's over there. And we might be trying to focus the secondaries onto the destroyer. Finish off the light cruiser. And then the Edgar. And I think the light cruiser is not going to live very long anymore. Yeah, she's flooding all throughout. And some torpedoes coming in from the Theseus, actually. This must have been the stern launcher, so she would still have some more. I think the Kazarsky is done for, yeah. Switch the main guns onto the Edgar while we're here. And definitely dodge the torpedoes launched by the Theseus. Destroyer is still trying to be a nuisance, but does not have torpedoes reloaded just yet. So while we're dodging the torpedoes from this thing, try to sink the Edgar if possible while we're doing the broadside pass, and otherwise I'll take on the Theseus. Yeah, let's take on the Theseus actually. The secondaries are still firing at the destroyer. Let's try to get rid of the Theseus while we're doing the pass here. I don't think she has torpedoes ready on this side because she already fired them. We are taking a couple of fires at this point, so I definitely want to start sinking ships if possible, rather than trying to render them torpedo ineffective. And for that, I am actually going to concentrate all gunfire now onto that ship. They're peppering us with high explosive shells, and we are starting to take on a little bit of fires around the ship, which we do need to get under control. That was a torpedo detonation, so we've destroyed their torpedo armament. Point blank range, full broadside. Come on, can we sink this? 305 mils, go. These are the 51 millimeters. Adjust course slightly. Can we get this under control? We are taking a lot of fires now at this point, so we definitely do need to get the damage under control here and make sure that we sink. The Kasarski is still active. Okay, since that pass on the Theseus was a no-go, target the light cruiser next and try to get rid of that thing, because for some reason she's actually still afloat. So if I can get a couple of shots on that light cruiser, that should do her in. I thought she was actually going to sink already. Yeah, we do need to make sure that we start getting these fires under control. There's a fair amount of them, and the light cruiser is smoking up. But we should be able to get that thing sunk. Okay, these were a couple of good hits on the light cruiser. Additional floods, and yes, now she's sinking. Okay, take on the Theseus next. Full turn. Make sure these guys don't get to escape. Actually, the Edgar might be the better target. Okay, concentrate fire on the Edgar. Full turn. Full turn to port and see that we can get that thing out of the picture. Destroyer is almost got torpedoes reloaded, so once again I'm going to target the secondaries onto the destroyer and see. Unfortunately, the chance of actually hitting him from this distance is relatively low. The Theseus seems to be disengaging. Edgar is coming in for another run, and I think we have the fire. Yeah, we have the fires under control, so we'll try to make short work of the Edgar. We just need to be careful. Okay, the destroyers got the torpedoes loaded again, so that thing is the bigger threat at this point. Drop speed already to 20 knots and focus all guns onto the destroyer. Try to close in to actually get on target. Yes, he has fired the torpedoes. Okay. Hard turn to port and see that we can evade these. Yep, there they come. Yeah, hard turn, please. Hard turn. Okay, I think these torpedoes are no threat. Yeah, they are no threat. Okay, keep going. Straighten out the rudder. She's got no more torpedo ammo. So, okay, focus back again on the heavy cruisers. The destroyer is at this point harmless. She's out of torpedoes because they keep setting fires, and I would like these things sunk and make sure that they're gone. This one, yeah, neither of them is a torpedo threat at this point, and we will just be engaging them at point blank range and try to get them blow them out of the water. These things are surprisingly resilient. They have maximum bulkheads. Sorry. This is what I want to look at. Yeah, they have maximum bulkheads. That's probably why. Switch fire to the Theseus. He's closer. Or just finish off the Edgar if possible. Yeah, they are surprisingly resilient, and once again we are starting to have a lot of fires burning. It's that constant rain of small caliber shells that is causing us problems with fires. So even though they're not actually doing any massive structural damage, it's just the sheer amount of volume that's problematic. It is confirmed the Edgar is sinking. We are now switching fire to the Theseus, and while their small caliber fire has done some damage to the Derfflinger, and these ships have proven surprisingly resilient to be sunk, I don't think they will be getting away. We can again focus the secondaries onto the destroyer, and who is peppering us with a low caliber high explosive as well, and keep the main guns focused on the Theseus and make sure that that thing doesn't get away. There's no time to take on survivors. The Edgar is sinking and the Theseus is under fire from the Derflinger that is closing in to finish her off as well. The destroyer has been sunk by our secondaries, which means we can now focus our fire completely on the Theseus. We're closing in for the kill. With Derflinger closing in to point-blank range, the Theseus has no way to escape. The Russian sailors have fought surprisingly hard, and it has taken Derflinger quite some skill and all her crew's powers to survive this battle and to finish off this group of individually inferior ships. This means we cannot underestimate the Russian Navy going forward.